We are so privileged to be in the presence of the Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia today. And before we have the Governor arrive here, thank you, I asked him if he was ready. He said he is born ready. Yesterday we talked about the resilience of all of our transit agencies around the Commonwealth and the work that they have done over the last year and a half to support our community, support their workers, and help us get back from this pandemic. That leadership has not just been in our transit agencies, but it has been from the top. And we have been lucky to have a great governor, not just over the last year and a half, but over the last 4 years, Governor Ralph Northam leading our Commonwealth through this incredible crisis and getting us to a place where we can put this pandemic behind us. Closer to home, Governor Northam has been an incredible champion of transit. He has made sure that not only do we have the funding that we need in transit, but we have good leaders, because he can't do it all himself. And we are joined, fortunately, by two of those great leaders, our Secretary of Transportation, Shannon Valentine, and our Director of Rail and Public Transit, Jennifer Mitchell. So Governor Northam has made these investments in transit not only because he knows they're good for our environment, good for our economy, good for our residents, but I understand that in January he's going to be out of the transportation mode. He's going to need to find a way to get around. He's not going to have a driver, so he's going to need to rely on the transit agencies all around the Commonwealth. So without further ado, let me introduce the 73rd Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Governor Ralph Northam.
Look delicious, so I'm a bit envious, but please keep eating. And you know, one of the things I like to tell people I'm used to in my prior life as a professor at the medical school, I actually lecture to students and residents oftentimes during the lunch hour, and they eat for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then when their eyelids start getting heavy after their dessert, I know it's time for me to take my seat. So I will be keeping a close eye on you. But Mayor Wilson, thank you so much for your kind words, for your sense of humor. I think that during times like this, I say it's one of the toughest times to be a public servant. But it's probably one of the most important times too, especially what this country and what Virginia is going through. And so to all of you that are in elected office, I just on behalf of Virginia say thank you. I was kidding with Justin on my way in here. I get just the privilege and pleasure of traveling all around Virginia and just seeing nice areas. And my wife Pam, who's not here with me today, but has been on a lot of those trips, and I enjoy going to Alexandria, but I also get nervous when I go, especially with Pam, because of all those shops. And he knows the exact right shop to take my wife to. So Justin, while you and I are good friends, I would just say, look out for me. Alexandria, and I think we can speak on behalf of all of Virginia. It's just, it's become so progressive and innovative and inclusive under your leadership. And so my hat goes off to you, Justin, and to all of you. Recognizing Shannon Valentine and Jennifer Mitchell, when we talk about transit, when we talk about transportation in this Commonwealth, they have just done a phenomenal job. We were just out in Patrick County a little while ago, which is out on the other side and south of Roanoke, and opening up Route 58 is so important in all of the transportation projects that they have overseen. We just got on a train on Monday morning, a train leaving from Richmond right up into Washington, D.C. So to Shannon and Jennifer, just thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for all that you do, and Harrisonburg, and I know you're the past president, is that correct?
Vice.
Right, or you're the vice president, so you're actually
She's the
headed
next
in
president. She's the next president.
Yes. In that direction, and how you keep everything under control in Harrisonburg, I'm not sure, but I appreciate what you do. Is John Lennon from Williamsburg, James City County, is he here today? Okay, so he's the past president.
He's the president,
right?
yeah.
All right, I've got it straight now. But anyway, as all of you know, that transportation and especially transit is just so vital for our economy, and that's about moving people and goods from point A to point B. So I appreciate you inviting me to talk with you about the importance of public transit and what we've done, and when I say we, what we've done collectively, and also how we have interacted and worked with our legislature. And it is good to see my friend Dolores McQuinn, who hails from Richmond. But Dolores, thank you so much for your leadership over the years and also your friendship. Now, Justin kind of touched on this a little bit, and some of you know me better than others, but I kind of am a car guy. If you know what that means, and I've always enjoyed tinkering on cars and have restored a few cars over the years. But like most people, while I like driving cars, I do not like sitting in traffic in cars. And Justin, yes, just for the record, I haven't driven in 4 years. So a couple messages there. Transit is a good idea for me. And I would say if in January you see me driving, you might want to play. But I also know that our environment, our economy, and our ability to move around all benefit when we get out of our individual cars and we focus on transit. I also realize that not everyone has access to an automobile, and we need to keep that in mind as we promote transit. And that's why our administration has taken unprecedented actions to improve transit service for communities across Virginia, urban and rural, as a critical component of creating an economy that works for all Virginians. During the 2020 session, our omnibus transportation bill, and thank you again, Delegate McQuinn, increased state funding for transit by 50% a year. This means that transit systems can expand service and replace aging buses. We also established the Transit Ridership Incentive Program, which advances regional connectivity. The Smart Scale program, which I know you all are aware of, a data-driven prioritization system, serves as a way to ensure that transit and rail projects get the attention that they deserve. Smart Scale has allocated more than, and this is an interesting number, $450 million to transit and rail projects. So I was proud to sign legislation that established dedicated regional funding for our largest transit systems, including Ramada, Hampton Roads Transit, for those of you from 757, Virginia Railway Express, and the Greater Richmond Transit Company. We all know that the demands of our roadwork network can too easily take up our transportation dollars, making this dedicated funding a game changer for our transit systems. In 2018, Virginia, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. came together with an historic agreement that dedicates $500 million annually to address critical capital needs for Ramada Metro system. And Virginia, I'm proud to say, led the way with its share of $154 million. And I do want to take the opportunity to compliment and commend Governor Hogan from Maryland and our mayor from D.C., Mayor Bowser, because they followed suit and did the same thing in both Maryland and Washington, D.C. Our legislation also resulted in the implementation of key reforms, including board accountability, creation of an annual report on safety and reliability, financial performance, and ridership, and development of a multi-year capital improvement plan. In Northern Virginia, we have created a network of more than 90 miles of uninterrupted express lanes, which move more people through this region's major corridors. The express lane projects allow us to invest more than $2 billion in multimodal improvements, transit, commuter and passenger rail, multi-use trails, and even more. The I-395 and I-66 inside the Beltway projects were done in 2019 and 2020. We expect I-66 outside the Beltway to be done by December of next year. FredEx, the 10-mile needed to get express lanes to Fredericksburg, and I think you've all seen that in progress, is also expected to be done late in 2022. And the final 2.5 miles of the 495 project leading to the American Legion Bridge is on track to be done this year. So again, Shannon, and to you and your team, the work that is going on across this Commonwealth is amazing. Express lanes move an estimated 4.1 million transit users annually, eliminating more than 112.4 million passenger miles from our highways and preventing more than 6,000 metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions. As we support and expand our transit systems, we have also embraced new innovations and technology. We've used more than $16 million from the Volkswagen settlement and transit capital to invest in electric buses, including Alexander's Dash transit system. Again, I was up there with you, Justin. You called Justin and I were good friends. At the end of the announcement, I said, hop in, Justin, I'm going to drive. And they wouldn't give me the keys. But I'm still working on that. We have seen that when transit gets people where they need to be, people will surely use it. A great example is the Virginia Breeze. The intercity bus service launched just a few years ago, connecting the New River Valley and the Shenandoah Valley to the District of Columbia, and from there to anywhere that Amtrak will take it. And already, you all will come in from that side, and already there's more demand than expected. When it launched, we projected ridership of just over 7,000. Instead, in its first year, the route served more than 19,000 riders. Demonstrating that when you provide mass transit options, people, they want to use them. In fact, Virginia Breeze has expanded its service, and the new Highlands Rhythm route, running from Bristol to the District of Columbia, will launch in November of this year. It's important to make sure that that's why we say Virginia's for lovers. It's important to make sure that our transit options serve underserved communities as well, and that we do so in an equitable way. To help serve rural areas, 2 rural microtransit demonstration projects just started this past June in Wise and Gloucester County. And DRPT is in the midst of a 2-year study of transit equity and modernization in the Commonwealth. That study is looking at That study is looking at transit services and how to engage with underserved and underrepresented communities. And finally, earlier this year, we signed the agreements for Transforming Rail in Virginia, the Commonwealth's long-term plan for improving passenger rail service. And I can't tell you how excited we were to be in downtown Richmond, to be on the first train as it left there en route to Washington, D.C. I've already talked to a couple people that are here. I won't mention their names. They said they almost made it. But just for the record, so that everybody is part of this discussion, we left at 5 o'clock in the morning. Everybody was so enthusiastic. But this partnership, which is important, is a partnership with CSX, with Amtrak, and Virginia Railway Express. With it, we expect to invest more than $1 billion in additional. The plan will expand DRE commuter rail service by 60%, and it includes building a new long bridge between DC and Virginia. Just again, Shannon, another agenda. Our goal is to expand and improve passenger, commuter, and freight service by separating passenger and freight operations and creating a link between the Northeast and Southeast national rail corridors. So many other parts of our economy, such as the movement of goods and of people, depend on our transportation system. This transformative plan will make travel faster and safer. It will make it easier to move up and down the East Coast, and it will connect urban and rural Virginia. We all know, and I've said this until I'm blue in the face, that we cannot pave our way out of the gridlock and congestion on our roads. But congestion also won't melt away on its own. Public transit systems are the best way to get people out of their cars, as much as we love them, and to their destination. I'm happy that our administration has taken so many vital steps to invest in transit and rail programs, laying the groundwork for successful steps forward in transit and rail for years to come. Making it easier for people and goods to move around and get to their destinations is vital to keep our growing economy humming. We are proud, and I know you've heard me say this before, but we're proud that Virginia was named the best state for business, not once, but 2 years in a row. We'll continue the policies and infrastructure investments that attract businesses, because a strong economy with growing businesses makes it easier for people to get good jobs and support their families. And as I have also always said, you know, if you talk to the average person out on the street and say, what's the most important thing for you? It's a job that they can support themselves and their families with and really enjoy our great quality of life. So in closing, I just want to thank all of you for the work that you do to make public transit programs such a vital part of our transportation network and of the communities they serve. You literally play an important role in keeping Virginia moving, and on behalf of the Commonwealth of Virginia, to all of you, I say thank you. I just want to finally close. That was my intro close. I'll make my final close. To say that this has been a very difficult year and a half for all of us. It has affected everybody in this Commonwealth and literally in this country and around the world. And we're not at the finish line yet. So I thank all of you for being part of the solution and working hard to get this pandemic behind us, because that's the way we will continue to have a strong economy. That's the way we'll be able to have our children back in school where we know it's the safest place for them. And then, Justin, one last observation. I have this, well, there's not a lot I enjoy about COVID-19, but the silver lining is that as a pediatrician, we know that these neckties that you're wearing today harbor infection. So why is the government so casual? COVID-19, and it's just yet one final example through leadership.